There we go. Good morning, everybody, and it's a pleasure to be invited to do the first session this morning. As you've seen on the advertisement, I'm going to talk to you about leading teams in the midst of conflict and helping you create an effective strategy going forward. The session is being recorded so that we can send this recording out to anyone that can't attend today. So without further ado, let me introduce myself. My name is Lizanne Keenan. I'm based in Wiltshire. My business is LK Mediation Services. I'm specialised in workplace mediation and team facilitation. It's another way of saying group mediation. I'm a conflict coach, workplace mediator trainer for anyone that is looking to become a workplace mediator. I'm also a master NLP practitioner, behavioural profilist, mental health first aider, and I've got 20 years HR experience in the corporate field. So as Will said right at the beginning, prior to this starting, I've got a wealth of experience dealing with people. So what I'm going to cover today is how does conflict affect your workplace, in particular within a team? How does it affect you personally if you're managing a team? What are the benefits of team facilitation over mediation? And what strategies can be used to make it a safe working environment whilst going through conflict? So if you're experiencing conflict in the workplace right now, using the chat box, could you pop in there what sort of things as a business you're experiencing? Just waiting for anybody to make a comment. Poor communication, absolutely will. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll go through some of the common things that I come across for businesses. There are many ways it can affect businesses, but the common impacts you'll find are projects are not being achieved, employees are off with stress, grievances are raised, employees are refusing to work with one another, increase in resignations and staff turnover, low morale, managers spending more time listening to or dealing with squabbles. All in all, it affects the bottom line, whether that's through time or lack of productivity, even worse, legal fees. So let me go through some of the costs it may have on a business. Now, a 2021 CIPD study found that workplace conflict in the UK is costing employers £28.5 billion a year, with experts at that point in 2021 warning that an increase in hybrid working could make disputes between staff even harder to manage. We're now in 2024, and I can say hands down that has been one of the key causes of conflict. ACAS said that the majority of the costs to companies following workplace conflict comes from resignations, absences and presenteeism, which together costs around £14.7 billion annually. Staff turnover was the single largest expense to employers. Next was employees taking sick as a result of conflict. And when it ended in a formal process, particularly when conflict was led to a resignation or dismissal, it was averaging at 1.7 million formal disciplinary cases in the UK. And that included 374,760 grievances. Now, on average, that's £951 in management time. In total, formal procedures, including grievances, disciplinary cases, disciplinary dismissals, cost businesses £12.8 billion annually. Now, there is a clear benefit to everybody handling problems as early as possible. Research has shown that employers should invest early in resolution of conflicts and put an emphasis on repairing employment relationships. And I wanted to share a study that Essex County Council did because it was fascinating results. An internal review on how conflict affected them per grievance. So they did a huge analysis, and they overall employ 17,000 employees over 500 locations. And they determined, which was verified by an audit team, that the average spend per grievance case was £18,000. Certainly food for thought. So it's one thing affecting the business, but if you're the manager that's managing that team, what impact does that have on you as a team leader? So again, using the chat function, pop in things that are impacting you right now. Yeah, distraction from normal day, everyday activities. Yeah, the mind, you're not focused on the task in hand. Absolutely. Stressful. Yes, stress. Thank you, everyone. These are the common things I hear from line managers as part of the process. I'm stressed. I'm not sleeping. It's affecting my home life. My direct line manager is unhappy that my team isn't delivering. I'm becoming short-tempered, which is further upsetting my team. I'm starting to resent the team or my work. I'm just burying my head in the sand and hoping it will all sort itself out. It's not me, it's them. Or it's like dealing with children in a playground. Sound familiar? So let's explore some of the examples within teams that manifest themselves. I'm going to share some personal examples of situations where I've gone in and dealt with some team facilitation. So this particular business was very hierarchical, that everyone stayed in their lanes, quite literally. They didn't deviate from their job description. There was no cross-pollination. They didn't do any more or any less than what their job description stated. Sound familiar? There was little communications and frustration started to build. When someone didn't deliver what they were supposed to, tempers started to rise. Instead of collaborating and talking to one another and trying to support one another, they just complained about each other and blamed each other. Eventually, as nothing changed, the team members, out of frustrations, went off and did what they thought they were supposed to do. Instead of raising concerns, it just got to a point where stress kicked in and a member of staff went off sick. Another member of staff stepped in, not really knowing what they're supposed to do. And the team, staying in their lanes, didn't support them in helping them find out what they were supposed to be doing. They unknowingly ruffled feathers as they were making errors, no fault of their own. Instead of the manager addressing it, when the minor bubblings appeared, it just escalated. And before you knew it, anger and grievances were raised, and the team starts to go off course, not achieving the end goal. This was another scenario that I addressed, is where the leader or the line manager had a very clear vision about where they wanted the business to go. They believed they were very clear in the direction that they all needed to go. However, instead of getting the whole team together in a room and delivering that so that they're all starting off at the same place, instead, each team member is instructed individually. So each team member started off at a very different starting point and were going off in a very different direction to each other, all individually interpreting the information differently and therefore going off in different directions. In turn, the culture turns into a blame culture as everyone believes they're going in the right direction. And again, not achieving the goal. So what we started to see was this. The line manager sees the tip of the iceberg. They see probably the louder people, the ones that are more frustrated in conflict. They're more vocal about their frustrations. So they believe that actually it's just a two-party conflict that's going on within the business. However, when they brought me in and I start to speak to someone, they start to speak to somebody that's impartial, like myself, what I found was chaos. So when you dig under the surface, where employees feel uncomfortable to share their frustrations with the line manager, you actually find out that they're all going in different directions, interpreting the information differently and battling up against one another. However, they were afraid to raise it as the manager or the owner didn't like conflict. Because of that, nothing changed. So what you'll also find is there's always going to be more that's going on to the people that are more vocal. Some are quiet about it, trying to plug on, but in turn, they become more stressed. So then what happens is you have the two that are most vocal that are in battle with one another. It may be more, it may be a few more than two, but it will be a small cluster. They will become vocal with one another, and then they will talk to their closest peers. They will deliver what they believe is their perception of where they're going or their frustrations, and those peers then talk to others. And before you know it, silos start to appear. And the only way to address it is to deal with the conflict before it starts to escalate and become bigger, because it becomes a bigger situation to deal with. So what is team facilitation and how does it work? So team facilitation is another way of putting group mediation. So it is a form of mediation, however, it's structured differently so that no particular individual is targeted. So just like mediation, it's still informal, voluntary and confidential, but structured more in a workshop format. The mediator or facilitator uses the same techniques as mediation with added exercises that are bespoke to the issues at hand. They use skilled questioning and active listening and really drill into the needs and the beliefs of the individuals to ascertain the heart of the issues. They manage the discussions effectively to ensure all parties are able to contribute and leave with everyone's buy-in into an agreement. Although team facilitation can be carried in-house by an in-house mediator, HR professional or skilled personnel, you will find having an external provider really gives that complete impartiality and able to provide the participants with the confidence that it will be confidential, enable them to speak freely, and it becomes more powerful. Each member of the team will be met individually for approximately 1 to 2 hours with the facilitator, and this enables the facilitator to get a full 360 understanding of what's going on from their perspective. Understand if there are any other additional factors, such as personal issues going on, and whether there is a common denominator. This enables the facilitator to then tailor the next stage, which involves all the parties, to address key issues, for example, communication or clarity of goals. If it is identified that it's clear that there are some key relationship breakdowns, they may also be addressed separately through mediation prior to the team facilitation. The facilitator may also feel it beneficial to use techniques such as behaviour profiling exercises to allow the participants to understand how to communicate and operate differently to tailor everyone's different styles of working to get the best out of others. I also find it also that for the first time that the whole team has been physically in the room together for either a very long time or if ever. We teach to respect other people's views and contributions, listening skills, communication skills, along with how they can move forward. It is hugely beneficial that also the line managers are involved in that process too. So what strategies should you take if you're experiencing team conflict? In my opinion, there are 3 fundamental things that you need to remember as a line manager or business owner. If there is nothing else that you take away from this talk today, please remember these 3 things. Walk towards the conflict. Don't ignore it. Don't shy away from it. It has to be addressed. The key thing is handling it right. Secondly, no matter what you think, why there may be conflict in the first place, erase it from your mind. Don't assume anything. I promise what you think is the cause is highly unlikely it isn't. And there may be a bigger issue going on. And number 3, ask open questions and then be quiet. Listen, and I mean really listen to what is being said. Don't listen and then start assuming and then start formulating a response. And remember, don't assume anything. There are also a couple of exercises you may want to try in-house, remembering these 3 key points. First, you may want to get some teams individually, particularly the ones that may be more vocal, to have a one-to-one facilitated by yourself or one of your peers. You just need to listen. You don't need to promise anything, just listen and understand. If you feel there are parties that would benefit from a facilitated conversation and you feel that someone else may be able to facilitate it, encourage it. Always remembering the 3 key things. Move towards the conflict, don't assume, and listen. If there are minor bubblings going on, you may want to encourage the group to do a fun activity and get the group in a room together. You may want to get an object like a ball and set some ground rules with somebody facilitating. And the ground rules may be that whoever's holding the ball at that time has a limited amount of time to speak, maybe 2 to 5 minutes, and the rest of the team must listen. And then you pass the ball around the room. This can be an effective way of getting the communication flowing and making it more open. Consider flip charting anything that's brought up, capturing key points or reoccurring points. So in summary, here are some key tips to remember. Don't automatically assume that it is one key employee that is causing the disruption in the team. Don't automatically assume it's just a 2-party conflict. Don't forget, if there is conflict mainly going on between 2 parties, it is likely that it's having an effect on the rest of the team. Don't underestimate the power of communication, and that it includes active listening. Understand the value of impartiality. If you don't feel it's effective to be dealing with it in-house, then recruit a specialist from external providers to bring that impartiality into the business. Make sure your goals that you're setting are clear and that everybody is singing from the same hymn sheet. Do regular check-ins, keep that communication flowing. Address mumblings before they escalate. And embrace team members' strengths. We are all unique, we all have amazing qualities, and embrace it. I'll say it again, don't assume anything. Make sure what you say you're going to do, you do. As members of staff, remember what you promise and then don't fulfill. Remember, what is important to you may not be important to others. And try and see other people's perspectives. You don't necessarily have to agree with them, but it's hugely powerful to be able to see other people's perspectives. Don't bury your head in the sand and hope it goes away, because it won't. And if you feel you can't manage it, get the experts in. Remember this, people don't enjoy being in conflict. but don't always know how to handle it and are seeking for someone to take control of the situation and guide them through it. If you don't handle it, it creates stress, sleepless nights, worry, and it impacts on their home life. So that's it from me. Does anyone have any questions?